By the way, this is Jason.
Yeah, my name is Jason, and I'm the Director of Programs here. Obviously, I have a big connection to the Tri-City area. I'm from Bay City. I went to Delta College before I went to Michigan State, and then I went into the Peace Corps. Jack's obviously been a big influential part of my life personally, a mentor of mine since basically I was born. And so, I really think it's great what Delta's doing with, trying to create peace studies programs. And obviously, here in Baltimore City, this neighborhood specifically is called Pigtown because slaughterhouses used to run through here. But just to give you a snapshot on it, if you're talking about poverty issues, things of that nature, we can talk a little bit more about this tonight. I told Jack and Jeff that I'll come to the hostel at 6 o'clock and we can have a little bit more formal debriefing. But one day you're going to see with nonprofit management, usually something comes up at the midnight hour. And so today it was one of those situations where I had multiple things juggling at one time, so I wasn't really able to formally introduce myself and then have a formal debrief, and so I can come to the hospital and we can talk a little bit. But since you're here and you're having a visual in the building, I thought I would just give you a quick snapshot of Paul's Place in Pigtown in Southwest Baltimore in particular. Pigtown historically has been the 7th largest concentration of urban poverty in the country, so when you're thinking of boroughs and poverty and boroughs and neighborhoods, I'm saying we're talking DC, New York, Chicago, LA. That's not to say that there aren't places across the country in the Appalachia that are facing challenges, but urban concentrations of urban poverty here in Pigtown has been a generational issue. So that being said, 30 years ago, when a practitioner and actually was a parishioner of a church out in the county saw a soup kitchen in Atlanta, she said, "Why don't we try and bring that here to Baltimore City?" So they went together, put their heads together, and they came up with this neighborhood, I think, because of all the generational issues of poverty. And St. Paul the Apostle used to be on the boulevard. It's now decommissioned. There's an old St. Paul's Church, which was one of the earliest Episcopal churches. And so through some of those connections, they were able to come into this neighborhood, hence the name Paul's Place. They dropped some of the religious connotations to it because over the years we've had people from all different faiths supporting us. We still have a lot of faith-based organizations, different churches, synagogues, whatnot, supporting us. But as we knew that we were opening this up to a lot of different donor and supporter initiatives, the name took some changes there. But so a lot of times you may hear people say, "Oh, you're from St. Paul's Place." It's Paul's Place, but the historic name comes from the boulevard. At that time, 30 years ago, or 29 years ago, when you're looking at it, it was out of a church, right? So there was just a few church rooms, and they were doing a hot lunch, or a lunch, I should say, and partnering with the University of Maryland School of Nursing, so they did that, and they also had some children's programs. Then as they started to respond to the different needs of the community, listening to the community, trying to reach out and feel what was going on. Excuse me, I just want to make sure this is not, okay, it's not Bill. So what they did then is to start expanding programs. But when you expand programs, they didn't have the space. And so actually for a year there, we say we were homeless because we were operating out of a storefront right next door just so that we could do bag lunches and continue some of the immediate food security issues that folks were facing. They then moved into what we would call the old side of the building. So that was the building where we first met this morning. That traditionally was looking like a Baltimore City row home, years. So if you look across the street, that's basically what it was. They were operating all of our